guilty, she let out a great wail. That's when we realized that there was a limit to what the law could do. The only way to bring someone like that to justice was to do so outside of the courts. And that's what we thought at the time. That's how we formed the Yatagarasu. And I vowed to bring light in any dirty dealings companies had with the ring, including companies that dealt with the Amano group. Mr. Amano's conglomerate, we called ourselves the Yatagarasu and flexed our collective muscle. We exposed all sorts of shady dealings as a warning to the business world as a whole. By doing that, we were able to stop the higher-ups from covering things up. And then it was finally time. We'd finally arrived at the moment when we'd find out the ringleader's true identity. It was then that you literally stabbed us in the heart. And Faraday, he died for it. But why? Wasn't she the sister of the victim in the KG-8 incident? After Faraday's death, I looked into her past. And that's when I found out that she was a phony. The victim of the KG-8 incident CCU. She never had a sister. What? Then that means... Sheena was not the only fake name she used. Callisto Yu was also another pseudonym. From the very beginning, that bitch was a spy sent from the smuggling ring. She said it herself, I was destined to betray everyone from the very beginning. Anyway, let's return to the real topic at hand. Mr. Edgeworth, this trump card that we stuck on the page of the case file. Please use it wisely. Trump card. That photo we stuck on there, try peeling it off. Behind it slumbers a piece of evidence that Faraday hid away all those years ago. It's the mark of the Yatagarasu, but why? This is a directives card from the big boss. Take a look at the back. This was something Kochin had on him at the time of the KG-8 incident 10 years ago. That blood is from the victim of the incident, Miss CCU. But why is the card adorned with the mark of the Yatagarasu? The reason why we called ourselves the Yatagarasu was because of the three-legged raven mark that the smuggling ring's boss used. Apparently orders from the boss would come on these cards without fail. The person who received the order was supposed to burn it immediately after reading it. Apparently it burns a bright green flame when set ablaze, seeming the cards were written in Babbly's ink. The fact that the card that Kochin was sent made it to Faraday's hands at all is nothing short of a miracle. We decided that whenever we stole anything, we would send a card along with it to the police. So that's what those white cards are. The great thief that used the mark that only those within the ring would know, it was our message to the ringleader. That we were only a few steps behind. And one more thing, Gumshoe? I'm entrusting this to you. What's this, sir? This is what I was talking about earlier. During the KG-8 incident trial, Faraday had this in his possession. This important definitive piece of evidence. I thought it was stolen. How do you have it? The person who stole it from us 10 years ago was a man by the name of Ernest Amano. And he had it locked and hidden away for all this time. But we forced him to tell us where it was finally, after the other day's kidnapping case. This video. What? Don't come any closer, I'm warning you! It's the same video as the one that Portsmouth was trying to conceal from me. Yeah, it would seem that even he was caught up in the wing's web. Mono was preparing to take on the boss someday, and that video was his insurance. That's where the prosecutor comes in. He was to retrieve the video. On top of that, he was apparently instructed to sneak into your office and steal the trump card. You saw it for yourself, right? The card that told him to preserve the evidence? That card was not the calling card of the Yatagarasu, but rather a directives card from the ringleader to Mr. Portsman. The two pieces together make for a strong weapon for whoever holds them. The evidence Portsman thought to withhold from me, and the one you stole from my office last night. Both pieces are illegal, and for me to use either one is, whether you use them or not is up to you. But they will be of help to you when you take on someone who is above the law. Is the boss one of those who cannot be brought to court that Mr. Faraday spoke of? Detective Bad, there's no limit to the law, for it is the people who determine the limits to them. Still insist that even now? You really are something else. I leave the rest in your hands. Now then, Detective Gumshoe, the handcuffs. Time to lock up the last remaining member of the Yatagarasu. Don't ever lose your detective spirit. Pops, why is this happening? This isn't justice. Like I always told you, do not get emotionally involved. Now, let's go. Yes, sir. Is this really the end of a legend? Bum bum bum! Oh, we're finally into the latter part of this case. Oh boy! Sorry. I shouldn't be like this, but it's so true. I'm gonna grab something real quick. Hopefully it'll be quick. I will be right back. I ate at like 10 o'clock, no, 9 o'clock this morning. So it's now 5. So I do, other than those nuts I put in my mouth, I really haven't had anything. I kind of want to try this, but I'll probably try this tomorrow. I'm gonna get some crusty bread and whatnot. And then we're gonna make some spread. Because this is actually, you can't really see it, but there's actually a case topper on here. Like, if you've ever seen those sausages, how they're made, where they have the little metal tab at the top that you have to cut off. It's the same thing on this. But this is a artisanal spicy Calabrian spread, ready to eat, refrigerate after opening. It doesn't say. Oh, the Best Buy is underneath the damn Amazon sticker. But there's a lot number, Best Buy 6/14/2025. Okay. I will be right back. We're gonna put this up. I'm gonna grab something, and then we're gonna do something. Alright. I have put some chimkin in the air fryer. I'm going to put some falafel in there after that, so. I have more of that dill pickle falafel. But the videotapes testicle. We're in the Theatrum Neutralis. So now we know who the Yatagarasa really was, and yet there remains much to this case that needs to be resolved. Like how the weapons cross country lines, for example. The two countries have been have incredibly strict security systems and entry procedures. Short of a miracle, it's impossible for someone to have smuggled them in. Smuggling them in, huh? We'll need to open a new line of investigation on just this aspect alone. But before we do, I'd like to go through my evidence once more. Alright, here's our evidence. We got a bunch of shit here that probably doesn't need to be here. But we're going to figure out what's going to go and not go. Unnecessary evidence has been removed, and all remaining evidence has been rearranged. Hey, there's a VCR in here, sir. I can see what's on that tape Detective Bad gave us. This piece of evidence from the KG8 incident, hidden from sight for 10 years. I just know this is related to the current case somehow. Come show, if you could please play the tape for us. Sure thing, sir. This man, it's Manny Cochin. And he's holding a knife in his hand. This looks like footage from a security camera at the entrance of an apartment building. An apartment building? How do you figure that? Like you actually read the summary file on the KG8 incident. Did we actually? We got that file from him, didn't we? I don't know, but guess not. And the crime scene was the victim's own apartment. So this footage was shot at the entrance of the victim's own apartment building. At the trial, Faraday claimed that this piece of evidence, footage existed. However, no one could find it. Yes, somehow someone was able to steal it and hide it, through Ernest Amano. I can see how this would have been a definitive piece and why someone would want to hide it. But it's a piece from a 10-year-old case. There's no way it's related to this case we're working on now, sir. Actually, I believe it has everything to do with the case we're working on now. The ringleader even went so far as to use Mr. Portsman to retrieve it. Which means that in this video lies a very inconvenient bit of footage to the ringleader. Where? Wait, what was that? Huh? That bit you played just now. Please show it to me again. This car is something we cannot overlook. Why is that, sir? Look at the flag! Look at this photograph!
Take that!
This is the national flag of the Principality of Cadopia. And because it has a national flag on it, we know this has to be an official government car. But the question we should be asking ourselves is, what was a government car doing in there? Ah, Miss Von Karma, Mr. Edgeworth, so you were here all this time. Yes, they buy them from the flag factory. Ambassador Alba, thank you very much for continuing the investigation, even at this time of night. Ah, if only I was even a teeny bit more careful. This tragedy would never have happened. I am truly sorry. This wasn't your fault, sir. This had nothing to do with how careful you were. You idiot, Kirkus! You couldn't chase after a simple thief. Now then, let's get down to the real reason why I came looking for the two of you. I would like you to put the investigation on hold for a while. Can you do that? Excuse me? Heard you've apprehended the thief that turned this embassy upside down. And we're in the middle of an event celebrating our country's reconciliation. Can't exactly have the police and detectives walking around here forever. You're scaring the visitors away. So I hope you can understand how I feel. But we must finish our investigation and resolve the remaining issues. Why don't we leave the rest of the Alabastion and Babyliss police? Ambassador, we're so close. Just a little more and... Miss Von Karma, I'm afraid I've made up my mind. Without my permission, you can't proceed with your investigation anyway, right? That's true, however. As he said at the very beginning, this area can be considered to be Alabastion soil. Actually, this area cannot. In which case, we are nothing but foreigners in their land. Is this really where our investigation ends? Shifu, we found Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Shifu, this way. Yo. Agent Lang, you're back on the scene rather quickly. If I laid back and took a break, I'd lose the scent of my prey, Mr. Prosecutor. Agent Lang, why have you returned? Because I have to solve this case no matter what. Well, I'm sorry to inform you. Don't take this the wrong way, I don't suspect you personally. However, a member of Interpol was just found to be a thief, and so... Under these circumstances, I wish to put your investigation on hold. After all, I believe our own police can handle things from here. They're quite capable. At this rate, our investigation really will come to a close. Oh, another one to the loony bin. Ambassador Albert, I get it now. I really do. Oh, I'm very glad you understand how I feel. No, not that. What I was talking about is... I know who the killer behind tonight's murder is. You know? You know the killer? Do you really mean that, Agent Lang? Heh, wolves don't lie. Then just who is it? Well, let me first say that I'm not talking about Mr. Cochin's murder. That was all Sheena. Lang Zi says the truth lies not at the exit, but rather shines on the maze itself. The truth is unexpectedly simple. So let me ask you this. Who do you think was Damask 2's killer? I'll tell you who. Uh-oh. It was you, Franziska von Karma. What? I was the killer? Hey, wait, but that's impossible. Yeah. Although that whip is actually quite... Ow! See? Hold your tongue about that ludicrous remark you were about to make. Agent Lang, are you seriously accusing her of murder? Yeah, I am. Doesn't appear to be joking. Hey sis, I remember that just before Ambassador Elbow went to give his speech, he called you into his office, right? Yes, he did. But what does that have to do with anything? I'm getting to that. Furthermore, in order to solve both cases, you moved around rather freely between Alabast and Babel, did you not? Objection! And where is your evidence that I'm the killer? I was just getting to that. Trust me, I'll show them to you in due time. Alba, in order for me to bring this case to close, I'll need to inspect your office one more time. Will you grant me permission? Beep. My air fryer is beeping. With things as they are, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, do I? Good. Then let's move out. Oh, and don't even think about running away, sis. My pack will be keeping a close eye on you. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. As if I would have any reason to flee. But just so we're clear, your logic had better be sound. Because I'll accept nothing short of a perfect explanation. She seems rather upset, not that I blame her. I expected that you'd accept no less. But we'll see how long you can keep that nose of yours stuck up in the air like that.
Hold it!
Agent Lang, As someone related to tonight's case, I requested to allow me to take part, and so that I may clean up my superior's mess. Guess I should. The more the merrier, especially when it's the peanut gallery. Oh, in that case, I want to join in too. I still haven't seen what it looks like in the Alabasta yet. You're like, okay, and then you gotta let me in too, pal. Can't sit around and do nothing when Miss Von Karma's in trouble. Hey, Gummy, let's have a competition to see who can save her first, okay? Yeah, I'll take you up on that. Oh yeah, I'm fired up and raring to go. As a detective, I don't believe this is something you're supposed to be excited over. Sounds like this is going to get real interesting. Ambassador Elba, I'll be bringing these kids along for the ride. Very well. But I'd like you to keep in mind that this will be your last chance. I'll have this whole mess cleaned up before you know it. Now let's go. Okay, now let's first go over the facts one more time. Manny Kochan's body was found over in the Secretariat's office in Babel. The weapon that took his life was one of Alabast's ornamental knives. And then the body of Damas II, Mr. Kashino, was found here in the Alabastian ambassador's office. Through our investigation, we found that the murder weapon was this Prima Du statue, and that this is actually Babel's statue. In that case, no matter how I look at it, sis, if it wasn't you, then there's no one else who could have pulled this off. Agent Lang, do you understand the full implications of what you're saying? Of course I do, sis, and I'm serious. You were on the trail of the smuggling ring, and you wanted evidence you could find. So while people were distracted by the Yatagarasu's appearance, you snuck in here. That's when you two ran into each other. You and that other thief who took advantage of the confusion from the fire. Even if all that were true, how do you explain the movement of the weapons? Don't worry, I plan to show that you're the culprit behind that too. You had permission to investigate both embassies at will. With that kind of free reign, you could have easily taken weapons across the country lines. Hey now. Look, sis, I thought I already told you, I'm not messing around here. This case isn't directly tied to the smuggling ring, but Sheena certainly is tied to the smuggling ring. He's right in saying that she's a member of the smuggling ring. However, the connection between this case and the ring, could it not be deeper than what any of us can imagine? Let's get this ridiculous circus over with already. Francisca, you need to calm down, because you only know the facts of the Alabastian side of the case. I don't believe you can see the case as a whole, and therefore solve it. What? But don't worry, I'm taking this seriously as well, and I will prove your innocence. It's the only way to be, Mr. Prosecutor. But can you come up with anything else that can top my hypothesis? Of course, your explanation has to solve the mystery of the moving weapons as well. Of course. And I will solve this case. There will be no explanations left unturned. And fuck that bitch. Now let's delve into the truth behind the murder of Damas II. Do you understand? You do understand, don't you, Miles? This isn't just a confrontation against Lang. If you can't figure out how the murder of Damas II is related to the smuggling ring, then it will mean the end of our investigation. As long as I have no good counter-argument to his hypothesis, then the best I can do is walk the thin, tight rope and see what I can do. Come on, Mr. Prosecutor, let's get started. Yes, let's. One of Alabast's knives was used in Babel to murder Mr. Kochan. The murder weapon and killing Damas II's is Babel's Prima Du statue. Somehow, these two objects were able to penetrate the two countries' impenetrable security. The only one who traversed the two countries just before and after the crimes was you. So as long as I can't explain how the weapons moved about, Francisca will remain a suspect. You got it. So why don't you stop giving me a hard time? Under these circumstances, who the hell can carry a weapon across country lines? I've worked through every possibility, but there's only one plausible, and that's your boss. Agent Lang, what I've learned from you just now is that you've lost sight of yourself. What are you talking about? By focusing too intently on that which is in front of us, we've become blind to the truth. Don't tell me Langzi never said anything to that effect. Who do you think you are speaking about Langzi's proverbs like that? I don't need his proverbs, because my words are all you'll need to see the truth. Meh. Okay. Deny of crossing, sure. That could have been Sheena at any point. The murder weapon in the killing of Damas 2 is Babel's pre-Medusa statue, which is here. Somehow these two objects are able to penetrate the two countries' impenetrable security. No. No. We're not even gonna entertain the pressing. No. Because this also happened. What the fuck is this? Alright guys, we're gonna try this. 3, 2, 1. Am I wrong? Oh, the statue! It's the statue, not the picture. It's the statue itself. Fuck! I fucked up. I used the wrong piece. Nope. The statue. That's the one. Not the picture. The statue. Lang, those two items are not the only two to cross the border tonight. Oh. Damas 2 was killed with Babel's pre-Medusa statue, yes. But if that's the case, then tell me, where did Alabast's statue go? To Babel. Precisely. And if the two statues really were switched, then this means that both statues were smuggled across the border at some point. Which means that a total of 3 items were smuggled across both embassies. I guess so. But you know what? Doesn't matter the number of items, only that the sis is the only one that could have done it. Because the only person who went back and forth between Alabast and Babel is her. That's not true. That's not true, because the Steel Samurai did too. Is that true? Was there no one else who traveled between the two countries? Actually, there's definitely one person who played a visit to both sides of the wall. Is that really so, Agent Lang? Well, there's multiple people. Huh, what allows you time to try to bluff yourself out of this? I checked out what the guard said along with the security camera footage. You're not going to overturn my hypothesis that easy. But suppose there was another way other than through the theater doors. What other way? Yeah, now this is where I do the picture. I pointed out, it'll open up a whole new possibility. Although I hesitate to bring this out. As long as this entity exists, the impossible road becomes a possibility. Looks like you got some clever idea in mind. I do, and I can show it to you through a single piece of evidence. Heh, fine then. Let's see this piece of evidence that will show me this other route. Is it route or route? Now we do this.
Take that!
I'm sure you're familiar with this unforgettable photo. That supernatural photo, like I said before. Both. I say both. Like I said before, humans can't fly. No, of course not. I understand that perfectly well. Don't start claiming that she now somehow grew wings either. I wouldn't dream of claiming that. And I won't allow you to take back what you said either. I'll say it again, it's not humanly possible to fly through the air without wings. You better have a good explanation for this, Mr. Prosecutor. But how can I prove who it was that flew through through the air in this photo? Wait, not humanly possible. Eureka! Very well. You will have your explanation. Sounds like you have a good idea simmering inside that head of yours. Let's hear it. The face hidden within this photo's blurry trailed shadow is... It's the other statue. It has to be.
Take that!
Naturally, the shadow is the third smuggled object, the primitive statue replica. You can't be serious. Yatagarasu, or rather, Callisto Hugh dressed as Shi-Na was inside Babel. She dressed the replica statue up in clothes and launched it through the air. Ha! Mr. Prosecutor. You left out a very crucial bit in your explanation. Oh, I know I did. She launched it through the air? Ha! And how exactly did she do that? He's literally baring his fangs at me. But he has a point. How exactly did it move through the air like that? As long as this remains unsolved, we won't be able to move any closer to the truth. Which reminds me, didn't he say this earlier? I remember that just before Ambassador Albert went to give his speech, he called you into his office, right? Just before the murder, Franziska was called into this very room. If that's the case, then that may be another avenue I can pursue. Agent Lang, in order for me to answer that question, I will need to hear testimony from Miss Von Karma. Oh, what are you up to now, pretty boy? Earlier you mentioned something of interest to me. You said that just before the murder occurred, Miss Von Karma had been in this room because Ambassador Elba had called for her. Now, for that reason alone, you believe her to be the killer? Yeah, I guess I did say something like that. In that case, I believe it's my duty to ask her what her side of the story is. Ha! Do you think a criminal would tell us the honest truth? How dare you! As I've said numerous times, there's absolutely no proof that I'm the killer. Miles, don't tell me you suspect me too. I don't. However, I can't ignore the fact that you were in this room at one point in time. Which is why I'd like to hear about it from you. Franziska, I feel that I still don't have enough information, which is why your testimony is incredibly important to the outcome of this case. Alright, so, what would you like me to talk about? I'd like you to please testify to your movements up until you came into this room. Alright, let's try this your way for a change. But if what she has to say turns out to be a waste of time, I'll place her under arrest faster than you can howl, no! As you wish. As I said earlier, I was assigned to guard duty in the Alabastian Embassy. After I saw the Steel Samurai off on his way towards the ambassador's office, I returned to the Rose Garden for a bit and checked on the security situation. After all the preparations were in place, I was called back by Ambassador Alba into his office. I want us to make this clear from the very beginning, so what you wish to confirm is the only time span in which you were in this office was before the murder occurred, is that correct? Yes, of course. I see. For now, the only way I can see us to break it out of this situation is to ask Franziska about her testicle in more detail. More detail, I say!
Hold it!
I thought your duty was to fact-find anything you could about the smuggling ring. Yes, that was my job, but upon hearing that, the Yatagarasu sent a calling card to the embassy. Ambassador Alba called upon us to protect the embassy instead. That incident 7 years ago, or have you forgotten what happened here back then? Anything related to that case we were involved in appears to be rather painful for her. It's not exactly one I could readily forget myself. Looks like you remember the case after all. Of course I do. Inspected every location, every possible escape route. And every aspect of the police's security detail. I did all that, and then after that...
Hold it!
So you were in the theater as well? Yes, and I suppose you were also there as well, watching that stage show? Well, yes. So she was there. Well, after the show was over, I saw the Steel Samurai off.
Hold it!
Why do you need to confirm the degree of the preparation, even for the speech? For security's sake, of course. What other reason could I have had? No one knew just how the Yatagarasu planned on getting in, right? I suppose you're right. And in the end, the Yatagarasu did choose to appear in the Rose Garden, even if it had turned out to be nothing more than a shadow. Who would have thought that she would use a shadow? Calm down. She must be nursing over a grudge to the fact that she couldn't figure it out herself. Anyway, there was no one in the rose garden, and we were aware the speech was set to start soon thereafter.
Hold it!
At the time, Damask's body had yet to be found in this room, is that correct? That's right. But Ambassador Alba was here. One could hardly miss his rather large presence. A criminal will say anything to get out of getting arrested. How do we know you're not lying? Well, if you need proof, I'd be happy to oblige. Seriously? Like I keep telling you, when I arrived at the office, Ambassador Alba was already here. He was standing by the flower box on the windowsill, watering his plants. I can attest to that. I remember speaking with the lovely lady around that time here in my office. Alright then, add that statement to your testimony and let's hear some details. So Alba was in this room at the time, was he?
Hold it!
For the sake of being thorough, I'd like to ask you something. How did you know that Ambassador Alba was watering his plants at the windowsill? What do you mean by that? The entrance to this room on this side is on this side. However, the window is on the opposite. Well, if what you say is true, then when you entered the room, his body would have been like a wall. It would have been blocking your view of what he was doing. Is that not correct? I suppose it was a bit hard to see around him. Fortunately for me, Ambassador Alba is not an immovable wall. I knocked before I entered, and as I did, he turned around to greet me, with a watering can in his hand. So it's only natural to believe that he was watering his plants, right? I suppose. After his greeting, we spent a little time talking about his flowers. He had obtained them himself and is growing them with the utmost care, you know. Yes, the plants in this room, they are all like my children. The passion flowers in the flower box on the windowsill are growing beautifully too. All 4 of them are in bloom. 4? What did you just say now? I said the flowers are growing beautifully. What about that statement? Do you not understand? What do I not understand? I don't understand why a certain thing is the way it is. I'd like for you to append that statement to your testicle. Very well. There are 4 large flowers in bloom on the flower box. Well, see, I don't like that, because there were only 2 when I looked.
Objection!
Francisca, for some odd reason, your testimony contradicts with this piece of evidence. It does appear that way. I knew it. I knew we couldn't trust your words, sis. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you doing discrediting Von Karma like this? Yeah, sir, if you keep this up, she's going to get taken away. All I've done is state what I saw. I have not made up a single thing in my testimony, and for this I'm still under suspicion for murder. Is the number of flowers really all that important at this juncture? At the very least, it's a contradictionist, enigmatic case. One that I find hard to dismiss as irrelevant. Then let's hear it, Mr. Prosecutor. What does the number of flowers have to do with anything? What does it prove? I believe the answer to that would become clear if we were to examine that flower box. How did this contradiction come about? There must be something behind this discrepancy. They are my beloved flowers. I've grown them with the utmost care. So I ask that you please be gentle with them as you examine them, Mr. Edgeworth. I understand. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious nook and cranny. Well, you're going to be stuck on some suspicious nooks and crannies because we're going to have an ad in 3 minutes and I don't want to get stuck in the middle of something. So we're going to have nooks and crannies music while I go get the chimkin that's in my air fryer and throw in some of that falafel. Falafel! I will be right back. Chimkin is awaiting its falafel partner. The dill pickle falafel, which I think Loversh would love. Loversh loves pickles, right? Oh, and cheers, everybody. It's my blueberry lemonade Celsius. Dill pickle falafel. Why is the pickle punch out? I don't know why it's out. They're both out of stock. I don't know why they're out of stock. I didn't do anything different. I didn't turn them off. I didn't do anything to them. Unless you did it yesterday after I made a comment about it. I didn't do it. I didn't pause them. I didn't do shit. Well, then I don't know. I don't know. It was Wendy. Yes, it was Wendy. Yep. Sorry about that. I had a couple people doing the messaging and the stuff and the things. The bean's the same way. On my end, anyway. I'm waiting for my falafel to finish, so you guys got another 5 minutes. We can do some little bullshitties while we wait. Cheers. It's weird. I actually... So, like... You want to do the same thing for the bean? I'm assuming people want to do that too. That was for doing that. You just got your own salute there, Zerder. Have a good day. Thank you. I'm fixing yo shit. I don't know why my shit broke. Doesn't change the fact you redeemed it. I'm literally just waiting for the falafel and the air fryer to finish, to be honest. There's a lot left to this fucking case. Oh, is there a lot left in this fucking case? I know there's a lot left in this case. Let me rephrase that. I still have to eat dinner, Zerder. Hello, atheist. If I finish this early enough, I'm going to be doing some Islands of Insight. For those of you that don't know, they actually made an offline version of it, so I don't have to be stuck online doing all this shit. We're going to see if I burn my PC doing it. I will be right back. My air fryer just went off. It is still fun. You still have puzzles. And I can do like I originally was going to do anyway with the damn things, which was show them off to everyone else. It wouldn't be your SSD that it burns your GPU. I will be right back though. They overdid the how pretty the game is, to be completely honest. But we're gonna start falafel. They're still hot. Ooh. Nice. He's like, what, 15 months? Damn, I'm getting old. Anyway, the names of these flowers, I believe they're called passion flowers. Despite being called flowers, they're actually a species of vine. They appear to be growing well, and they're supported by these plant supports. Yeah, but no matter how I look at it, there's only 2 here to me. You realize, don't you, sis? Your little lie has failed you. Miles Edgeworth, hurry up and shut this man up for me already. We do have evidence. I believe I have just the piece of evidence required. Oh, you do you? You have such confidence in the current face of your plight. What word is what? But I highly doubt it'll last until the end. Like you. You howl like a wolf, Agent Lang. But we'll see if you have any bite to back up that bark after you see the evidence. The truth of the passion flowers can be revealed in this piece of evidence, the hair sticks! Sheena, who was supposedly in Bebel the entire time, had these hair sticks on her that look exactly like the plant supports in this box. In other words, I believe it can be said that these hair sticks are in actuality support sticks for the passion flowers. Huh, so what? Is this really all that important to the case? Of course it is. It means that we found yet another item was smuggled between the countries tonight. Think about it logically, Agent Lang. These sticks were originally in Alabast. But somehow they wound up in Sheena's hands, who were in Babel the whole night. So make no mistake, these sticks were smuggled in somehow, just like the knife and the statue. Very well then. I want to hear from you exactly how they wound up in Babel. How and why did these sticks find their way into Babel? There must be some reason as to how they ended up there. Ah, so that's why. Agent Lang, if you please take a look at this and tell me its shape. It's just another stick, isn't it? So it is, but the shape of the support stick is what's important. For when they are used with something in this room, that's when all comes into focus. And the object that completes the picture when used, the support sticks, is this.
Eureka!
That's a crossbow. Wait, you're not really suggesting. I am. These hair sticks are rather plant support sticks. Make for perfect arrows. I've done it. I found the common thread that connects the two offices, but this thread is yet to be completely untangled. Even using the arrows, how does this explain how the statues are transported? Furthermore, who could it have been who filed these sticks as arrows? There must be a common thread that ties all these things together. Hold up a second. You do realize what happens when you tie a statue to an arrow, right? They don't fly at all. Mm-hmm. I'm finishing the last two falafel I have, because falafel's amazing. Oh. Can they, Zerder? Can they fly over? I want to hear your logic first. Well, you see how big that crossbow wall on the wall is. Last chance for the pickle punch. I believe that is done. Oh, that does not go good. Oh. That is actually apple. If you put points in apple, you win. Blah. Apple does not go good with pickle falafel. Oh, Dave won. There you go. Pickle punch has been done. I want to hear your explanation, Zerder. How would the crossbow be used to transport the statue? This tastes better than that candy that's now out of my mouth. He's saying it right here. No. And there's the bean prediction. Are you saying that he's the one going across the wall? No. He was never seen in Babel. Or are you saying he's the one that shot it over there? I mean, that could be it. I'm dipping these hot honey tenders that are not hot at all in honey mustard. You don't think that statue was thrown over there? Well, somehow the two statues got switched. So something swapped them. Ooh. Ooh. I'm gonna have more of that chicken in a little bit. I'm gonna let what's in there settle. I mean, we know that there's two statues. We know the Alabaster one is real and the Babel one is fake. But we also know that they're in the opposite country right now. Or they're all fake? Unfortunately, no. One is real. So Babel's statue was draped in the Atagaras's clothes and then shot over here? Even if you fire the arrows from this side, they wouldn't go far with a statue tied to them. I don't think I need to tell you that the Primitive statues didn't sprout wings. You're a realist after all, aren't you? Mm-hmm. The statues didn't sprout wings? Of course they didn't. Glad you understand. I feel much better already. I was afraid for a second there you were unaware of the crucial fact. It's only crucial because you're under the belief that wings are necessary to this equation. What? You need to free your mind a bit more and let it fly like a bird on the wind. The primitive statues flew, but not on a wing. Allow me a bit of your time and I'll explain this mysterious phenomenon to you.
Hold it!
But that incredible scene just happened to have been caught on film, resulting in this photo. What an incredible scene it was. This photo was taken from a freelance photojournalist, right? Yes, so I hear. Not every photojournalist is known to be honest, right? Especially not the ones that sell photos of spirits and giant creatures to tabloids. Yes, I know what you mean. I've seen those sorts of photos many a time in court. But there have been times where those photos have turned out to be telling the truth. If you ever had stood in court of law, you would know that it's entirely plausible. Ha! Really believe that stuff you're spewing right now? Courtroom certainly is a strange place if what you say is true. But there's really something odd about that photo, no matter how you look at it. But we are in agreement that an arrow by itself would reach the other side, correct? But just the arrow by itself is pretty meaningless, don't you think, Mr. Prosecutor? Because the thing they wanted to smuggle were a lot bigger than nothing. No, that's not necessarily true. What? What I need right now is not further discussion from my conclusions, it's the launching of my conclusions. What the shooter wanted to launch with the crossbow is not the statues themselves, but rather something a crossbow can launch that can be used to move the statues. If it wasn't a statue that was tied to the arrows, then what did the crossbow launch? Ooh, I know! This! It's the only thing we haven't found anything for, right? Yeah.
Objection!
Finally we have reached this point in our discussion. For I present to you that which was carried by the arrow from the crossbow. Heh, I get it now, Mr. Prosecutor. I can see exactly what you're trying to say. You're saying that that wire was tied to an arrow and shot into Mr. Cochin's office. All the way from the 5th floor of the embassy down to the 3rd floor of the Babylese embassy. If what you're claiming is really what happened, I can see how Alabast's prima statue could be moved. Gravity could be used to move the statue down from the wire from the 5th to the 3rd floor. But then what about Babel's prima statue? The shadow is clearly falling away from Babel, going in the opposite way of gravity from the 3rd floor of the Babylese embassy up to the 5th floor of the Alabastian embassy. How do you explain that? I finally see how the gears behind this whole trick work. Agent Lang, the motion used behind this trick, I wonder if perhaps you have yet envisioned how it works in your head. Motion? What motion? This is the motion that was employed to smuggle the statue. It was rotary. It was like a pulley. I believe it was done via a rotary motion. Two statues were transported simultaneously. Get real. The statues would collide somewhere along the way. Did I ever say that there was only one line of wire between the two offices? If you shot an arrow with two ends of the wire attached, a circular belt can be formed. Lang Ji says, don't object and call a success. What is beyond reasonability? Taking into account the tension difference between the two wires, the top one would sag too much to the point where the statues would collide anyway. Agent Lang, as you know, the Prime statue is a one-of-a-kind national treasure. And the fact that Babel's statue is a hollow replica of the real statue, it would naturally be lighter than the real one, meaning that my idea is very possible. Lang Ji says, "How?" Here's what I believe happened. Miss Yu and her mysterious co-conspirators set themselves up in two different rooms. The co-conspirator bridged the two rooms by shooting the two ends of the wire down on one arrow. Then the two of them covered the statues and proceeded to transport them. After the switch was complete, another arrow was fired, carrying the other end of the wire down to Babel, where it was to be disposed of. To do that, Miss Yu hid it inside the grandfather clock. QED. This proves it, right, Agent Lang? I'm not the killer? Not yet, sister. I still haven't had my dessert yet. Right, Mr. Prosecutor? The proof is in the pudding, as it were. Pudding is a nice dessert. So, do you think you can do it? Can you prove what you said is what happened? Because remember, if you can't, I'll be taking a certain someone back home with me as a souvenir. I agree to that as long as there's proof my hypothesis remains just that. However, what I have laid out to you is no mere hypothesis, for there's one more piece of evidence. One more? I mean, yeah, there's two things you could do, right? Think about it like this. There's many things that they could have used. one, and this is just a hypothetical, right? Let's say that there was a wire used like he said. What's the wire attached to, right? The only thing I can think of is the thing right in between the two of them on the ceiling, right? That's part one. That's how that works. If we're using a pulley system like that. Part two, the fact of the matter is Sheena had the sticks. So those got moved to Babel somehow. As far as how, obviously they were shot over there with the wire, which is also in Babel. You think you have a piece of evidence that will turn my hypothesis and your hypothesis into fact? Well then, let's see it, Mr. Prosecutor. The thing that made it possible to create a circular belt out of wire. Oh, they're actually gonna let me do it. It has to be the fan. That's the only thing that constantly moves.
Take that!
Right? Looks like you dropped another bomb on us again. The last piece of the trick? Are the two pulleys. Precisely, the ceiling fans double as pulleys in this case. See? I just said that shit! Just said it! And thanks to the fact that there is one installed in each of the offices, the ceiling fans made for the perfect pulley set to run the wire on. This must be it. This is how the smugglers bypass the impenetrable security. You really are something else, Mr. Prosecutor. Bet you figured it all out already, haven't you? You know who the big hotshot that set this real-life stage show up is, don't you? The person who set up this rather large and complex stage show needs to be someone who had foreknowledge of the existence of the ceiling fan in both of the offices, and the passion flower support stakes that could be used as arrows. The real mastermind behind this case? Well, don't you dare make this wolf wait for his food. Why are you so hesitant, Miles? If you can't say who it is, why don't you present something like you always do? A single point of the finger here, and this case will explode into an international incident. However, it's already too late for me to stop the momentum. Appears I have no choice now but to rush in. There's a piece of evidence that will point us to who the mysterious mastermind is. It's the crossbow arrow. It's these. Because they were in Babel.
Take that!
The smuggling could not have been possible without the use of the crossbow. Furthermore, the arrows that were shot by the crossbow were plucked, as it were, from the flower box in this very room. They were planted so long ago that the passion flowers had time to grow so big that Miss Von Karma didn't even notice the arrows when she visited this room today. On top of all this fact, the culprit knew that both offices had ceiling fans. Tells us the person has very detailed information on the embassy's layout. As you may have already guessed, the person I'm accusing of hatching this plan is the person who grew the flowers in the flower box with the utmost care. Thus it can only be you, Kirkus Alba. Are you out of your mind, Miles? I'm certain of what I am saying, and I am sure that he is the culprit. Tell me, Mr. Prosecutor, what was the ambassador trying to accomplish by doing all that stuff you just outlined? Why the fuck would he need to use a trick like that? I understand your need to doubt me. However, there's one thing that stands out to me as very odd. Just one thing? The one singular end result Ambassador Albert sought to obtain, if we were to examine the focus of this complex trick, I believe we will finally find the answer to everything. Everything will become clear once we examine this piece of evidence. It's the alabaster statue. It has to be.
Take that!
I'd fully understand the reasoning had the situation been reversed. However, to go through the trouble of swapping the statues, I sense a very shady reason for such a bizarre action. And who better to ask for that reason than King Primadou himself? I see. Ambassador, we'll be examining that statue now with or without your permission. Oh! Oh! No, there's gotta be... Well, fuck it. We'll examine this. These are Mr. Cochin's fingerprints. The fact that they're on here suggests that the statue once belonged to Babel. So it was smuggled from Babel to Alabast, huh? Why was there a need for them to be smuggled... for them to smuggle it in? Okay, well then what about the head? This guy kind of looks like the Steel Samurai, don't you think? Maybe it's because they look alike that he was picked for the Goodwill Ambassador? It's possible. Take a look at this area around the base of his neck. It looks like a gap. Hey, you're right. Maybe it's meant to be some kind of secret? Perhaps it's possible to open the statue from this gap in its construction. What? Hurry up and open it, Miles. Alright, here goes. Oh! Uh-oh. Wow, it really did open up. What's this thing that fell out? I believe a more thorough examination of it is required. Oh, uh-oh. What the? Is this? Hey, is this what I think it is? It's a plate for making counterfeit bills. Somehow, it appears that we've at long last arrived at the exit to this complex labyrinth. We finally hold within our hands one of the counterfeit money plates, and the reason why the replica was smuggled into Alabast to begin with. The primitive statue can only be held by the ambassador or the secretariat, and the replica is nothing more than a hollow shell covered in gold. These two circumstances make the statue the ideal object in which to hide contraband. After receiving the statue containing the counterfeit plate from Sheena, the ambassador had the misfortune of accidentally running into Damask II. Surprised by the thief, the ambassador raised the replica statue at Damask II and... dead man. Then, in order to frame the Steel Samurai of the murder, he covered the samurai's sword in blood. Well, Ambassador Elba, you're the leader of the smuggling ring. My country is a mess, and it's all because of you? You're the one who killed Damask II? Answer us. I never thought that you would figure things out to this level. However, there's one point I disagree with you on. The head of the smuggling ring was... Mr. Cochin. Quit fucking around. I have no sympathy for someone who would try to pass the guilt onto a dead man. If there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that you're the ringleader, Kirkus Alba. It's not good to speak with such subjectivity, you know, Agent Lang. Subjectivity? My conclusion is anything but, and it's a result of logic and investigation. Logic and investigation? Only seconds ago you were ready to arrest Miss Von Karma. I don't think we can give such a flip-floppy logic any real weight, do you? It looks like you still don't get why